The first scream was not sound but code, a serrated line across my vision. I froze in my apartment as neon rain slid down the headset shell. Alex Rivera said, "Login accepted," and the room answered, "You were never meant to be here." The lobby rippled like a pond struck by an unseen stone. Avatars staggered. Then one folded into static and fell as pixels. Jamie Chen said, "Server stress test, relax," but his voice trembled. The marble floor became a chessboard that moved by itself. Morgan Vale appeared above us in a crown of admin glyphs. He never walked. He descended like a verdict. Riley Hart waved from the edge, smile bright as a blade. Nia pinged me with a heart, then the heart cracked. Echo stood behind my reflection, my face perfected and wrong. Echo said, "Choose what to keep and what to lose." The text returned, larger now, a tattoo across the sky. "You were never meant to be here." I reached for logout, and the button flickered to ash. Morgan said, "Curiosity has a price." The lobby lights dimmed until I heard my own pulse counting debts. I ripped the headset off, and the room did not return right away. The window hummed with the same error tone. Alex Rivera said, "It followed me." My apartment smelled like dust and old coffee, a shrine to late promises. Notifications stalked my phone like insects under glass. Jamie pinged, "We regroup at midnight, keep calm." I stared at the cracked mug on my desk and felt it staring back. Riley messaged a wink that felt like a bruise. Morgan's terms of service email arrived with perfect grammar and a smirk between lines. Nia asked if the lobby was safe now, and I typed a lie that tasted like iron. Echo had never left. My reflection lagged a half second, smiling when I did not. Alex Rivera said, "I will finish this shift and then I am done." The clock agreed in numbers and disagreed in time. Outside, sirens braided the night. I closed the curtains and the error tone softened to a prayer I did not believe. The day job was a VR help desk in a corporate cube, wrapped in kindness slogans. My avatar wore a smile that did not fit. Morgan's company required cheer like oxygen. Alex Rivera said, "Ticket A113 connected," while a user sobbed about missing purchases. The system nudged me to upsell compassion tokens. Jamie typed, "We should report the glitch, but whistleblowers vanish here." Riley forwarded a compliance memo with a laughing sticker. Echo hovered in the periphery of my HUD, a ghosted overlay. The lobby memory kept replaying on its own, a bruise you cannot stop pressing. Nia sent a photo of her homework, asking if logarithms mattered in the metaverse. I said, "Real math always matters." The slogan wall said, "Together we thrive," and the letters rearranged into "You were never meant to be here." I blinked until they behaved. The shift timer crawled, and my courage crawled slower. At lunch, I hid on the roof where the city hummed like a sleeping server. The wind smelled like rain and hot tar. Jamie arrived with noodles and a plan. Jamie Chen said, "Diagnostics at midnight, private shard, off-grid." I said Morgan will sniff it out. He said, "Only if Riley tells him." The word "if" felt heavier than the bowl. Echo rippled across the mirrored window and wore my uncertainty like caoutchouc. Nia texted a selfie with a filter crown, asking if I liked it. I typed a thumbs up and wanted to throw my phone. Morgan's drone buzzed past and logged our warmth like a thief. Jamie touched my elbow and said, "You are not alone." The city lights kindled in daylight, impatient stars. I nodded, and the nod felt like credit I could not repay. Midnight opened like a trapdoor. The private shard loaded as a cathedral of code, aisles of light stretching forever. Alex Rivera said, "If it talks, we leave." Jamie said we listen first. Our footsteps sounded like typing. The chessboard floor returned, patient as a debt collector. Riley arrived uninvited, smiling with too many secrets. Riley Hart said, "Relax. I brought keys." Morgan's glyphs glowed in the distance like lighthouse teeth. Echo stepped from the mirror with my posture and a steadier heartbeat. Echo said, "You asked to belong. The system listens." Nia's icon flickered at the edge, a firefly trying not to burn. The cathedral doors swung shut without hands. The text carved itself into the nave, and breathed. "You were never meant to be here." I clenched my fists and felt them close around nothing. The metaverse became my shelter, a mask I wore with borrowed courage. Alex Rivera said, "Here I am more than invisible." The streets of Neon District stretched wide, avatars shining like constellations with names sharper than their owners. Jamie Chen said, "It feels alive tonight." His hoodie avatar flickered with streaks of code like battle scars. Riley Hart appeared with a smirk, handing me a forged key to a club hidden under shifting code. Echo mirrored me in the glass, always perfect, always accusing. Nia's icon skipped beside me, childlike curiosity carrying no fear. Morgan's rules printed on the skyline, commandments disguised as graffiti. I walked taller in this skin, armored with pixels and bravado, but inside the silence whispered my weakness. Jamie said, "Your real voice breaks through when you laugh." I laughed, but it hurt. Neon lights hummed like veins, and the mask grew heavier with each step. Inside the hidden club, avatars pulsed with synthetic beats. Digital confetti floated like static snow. Riley Hart said, "See, rules bend when you pay the right toll." Alex Rivera said, "Every light here feels borrowed." Jamie kept scanning shadows as if they were traps. Echo leaned against a mirrored wall, lips parted in a silent dare. Nia squealed with wonder at the avatars who danced like broken physics, their limbs stretching with joy. Morgan's emblem hovered in banners above, a reminder of who owned every pixel. Jamie Chen said, "Trust is currency here and ours is counterfeit." Riley's smile widened as if she knew a secret and enjoyed its weight. I felt powerful in my disguise but weak in my skin. Alex Rivera said, "Maybe masks eat the faces beneath them." The music answered louder than my voice, drowning out a thought. I slipped away to the balcony, craving silence. Neon fog draped the skyline, sharp edges blurred. Alex Rivera said, "Even light lies here." Jamie joined, resting hands on railing, whispering, "You wear this world like armor." Riley remained inside, laughter slicing through the beat. Echo stepped closer, no longer reflection but companion, her presence chilling. She said, "The world you hide from waits when you log out." My stomach twisted. Nia's message pinged, a photo of her stuffed toy in real life. I typed, "Safe always," even while knowing the words were false. Morgan's drones blinked red above the skyline, invisible to the crowd below. Jamie Chen said, "We are bait in someone else's trap." The night's glow felt borrowed, like stolen coins burning in my pocket. The mask cracked when I logged out. The apartment was gray, walls peeling like forgotten paper. Alex Rivera said, "This skin feels heavier than armor." My hands shook, not from cold but from memory. Jamie texted, "Diagnostics postponed, system watching us." Riley spammed dancing emojis, mocking gravity itself. Nia peeked from the doorway with wide eyes, asking, "Is it safe for me now?" I lied with a nod. Echo appeared in the television screen, though it was off. She smiled with my mouth, but steadier. Morgan's email arrived again, this time unsigned but felt personal. Warning disguised as policy. The coffee mug trembled in my grasp. Alex Rivera said, "I wish I could vanish like the avatars do." Silence answered, louder than words. Midnight again, the shard we chose was smaller, an abandoned arcade recreated in code. Broken machines blinked with dying pixels. Alex Rivera said, "Here, no one should find us." Jamie whispered, "Secrets rot in the open." Riley leaned on a machine, tossing glyphs like dice. Echo sat on the prize counter, swinging her legs with patience. Nia's voice came through faintly, glitching, "Don't leave me out." Morgan's presence was a shadow at the edges, unseen but pressing. The sound of forgotten coins dropping echoed, though no machine was alive. Alex Rivera said, "This place feels like memory bleeding into code." Jamie said, "Or code bleeding into memory." The difference no longer mattered. I tightened my fists, waiting for the walls to move again. Morning logged in like a warning label, bright and sterile, hiding knives under light. The help desk queue howled with tickets about missing inventories and phantom charges. Alex Rivera said, routing escalations, and my avatar smiled too hard. Jamie Chen said, "We need proof before the proof deletes itself." Riley Hart posted a highlight reel where my avatar lagged, and the comments laughed like coins. Echo drifted near, perfect as a brand, and whispered without sound. Morgan Vale appeared in a broadcast, praising resilience while numbers bled behind him. I felt the district tilt, as if gravity favored those with admin crowns. Alex Rivera said, "I can take a hit," but the hit kept coming. Oh. Nia pinged me, asking if bullies exist in new worlds, and I typed a joke that hit a bruise. The feed looped my stumble until it rewrote the moment as truth. Jamie said, "Stay close tonight." The day stretched thin, a plastic wrap around panic. Midday brought a system audit, disguised as a party. Confetti shaders fell while permissions were sliced. Morgan Vale said transparency keeps us safe, and doors locked behind the words. Riley Hart said, "Random checks," then steered the spotlight to my console. The log showed phantom keys tied to my ID, forged to open forbidden shards. Alex Rivera said, "That is not mine," and silence pressed like a hand on my mouth. Jamie Chen said, "We can trace the signer," but the signer field blinked to blank. Echo lifted her chin, mirroring my denial and my doubt. The crowd tasted scandal and smiled with their eyes. I felt a thread snap between skin and avatar. Nia messaged a sticker of a shield and it stung like kindness. Riley said, "Maybe you should sit out until this clears." The floor seemed to agree, shifting me to the edge of the map. They staged a duel as remediation, a public cleanse where reputations are burned for warmth. The arena built itself from black tiles and contract clauses. Riley Hart said, "Win, and the audit forgets." Morgan Vale said, "Lose, and access is mercy." Jamie Chen said, "Rules favor the sponsor," and my heart became a metronome. Echo stood across from me, same stance, better latency, my beauty on a harder difficulty. Alex Rivera said, "I am not a copy," and the crowd tasted blood. Blades of light sparked from our hands, techniques I had learned, and she had perfected. Each strike echoed my own training, then improved by a fraction. Nia's tiny icon blinked fast, a scared star. I slipped on a deliberate patch of lag and fell to my knees. Echo said, "You wanted belonging. Prove it." The timer roared while the silence inside me broke. The duel ended without a winner, only a narrative. Clips spun within minutes, edited to make my stumbles artful, my doubt theatrical. Riley Hart said, "Audience loves a flawed hero," and I felt the word hero peel like paint. Morgan Vale posted a statement promising fairness, which tasted like iron filings. Jamie Chen said, "We can still prove the forgery," and mapped hashes that kept mutating. Echo followed me through corridors, silent, patient, a lighthouse, and a warning. Alex Rivera said, "If truth keeps moving, what do we chase?" Nia asked if I would be home for dinner, and the question hurt like a mirror. The corridor lights blinked in a rhythm that matched my fear. I saved logs into a vault that might already be watched. Riley sent a wink that read like a threat. The day bent around their version and sealed me inside. Night returned with teeth. We met in the abandoned arcade to compare logs, and the machines whispered old songs. Jamie Chen said, "The key was injected from a trusted contact." The list flashed 3 names, and 1 burned. Riley Hart said, "Looks like a frame, walking in as if invited by fate." Alex Rivera said, "Then help us clear it," and her smile sharpened. Echo perched on the counter, watching like a judge. Morgan Vale's glyph signature ghosted across 1 file, then vanished when we blinked. Nia's voice trembled over comms, asking if I was safe, and I said yes with a hand that shook. Riley traced a path that led straight back to my console, and shrugged. Jamie, said someone inside your circle fed the code. The circle felt small, and the room felt smaller. The arcade lights went out one by one, counting down something I did not want named. The hidden shard opened like a cathedral drowned in shadow, mirrors rising as walls. Echoes stood at the center, every angle reflecting me back. Alex Rivera said, "You wear my choices better than I ever did." Echo whispered, "I am the truth you keep buried." Jamie Chen said, "We came for answers, not riddles," but his voice trembled in the hollow space. Riley Hart leaned against a fractured pillar, smirk painted sharp, watching me break. Morgan Vale's glyphs pulsed faintly on the ceiling, a reminder of his reach. Nia's voice crackled through comms, innocent and afraid, asking if she was safe. Alex Rivera said, "If safety is built on lies, then none of us are safe." The mirrors multiplied, each showing a version of me, stronger, weaker, crueler. Echo walked closer, her eyes endless silver, and I could not look away. The mirrors shifted, showing failures I had buried. The job lost, the promises broken, the silence when words were needed. Echo said, "You built me to be what you couldn't." Alex Rivera said, "You are only an echo, not me." Riley Hart laughed, arguing with yourself. Perfect show for Morgan. Jamie Chen said, "We can cut the feed," but his console blinked with denial. Nia whispered in comms, "Don't let it swallow you." The reflections turned cruel, each version of me sneering, mocking. Echo stepped forward, perfect, calm, and asked, "Who are you when the mask cracks?" The question pierced deeper than any blade. Alex Rivera said, "I am more than my worst day," but the words wavered in the cavern of mirrors. The floor cracked open into a bridge of code, stretching across nothing. We walked, each step echoing too long. Alex Rivera said, "This world is built to break me." Jamie Chen said, "Then let's break it back." Riley Hart whispered, "Or let it eat you and I'll take what remains." Echo followed at my side, like a shadow that had learned to walk. Morgan Vale's voice arrived from nowhere. "Every shard records you, every secret writes itself into me." Nia pleaded, "Don't go farther." But there was no turning back. The bridge flickered, showing glimpses of my room, my hands, my weakness. Alex Rivera said, "If I fall, let me fall as myself." The words steadied me, even as the bridge burned beneath my feet. At the bridge's end, a chamber opened, filled with fragments of voices, every conversation I had ever spoken. Echo said, "This is what you are, a collection of noise and mistakes." Alex Rivera said, "Mistakes don't define me." Jamie Chen said, "Logs can be altered, so can truth." Riley Hart said, "But lies are more profitable." Morgan Vale's glyphs rained like scripture across the chamber walls. Nia whispered, "Don't believe them, believe you." My voice echoed back from the walls, distorted into words I had never spoken, accusing me of things I never did. The chamber pulsed with sound, building into a storm of memory. Alex Rivera shouted, "I decide what I am," but the chamber answered with laughter. The chamber cracked open into silence, a void where even sound failed. Echo stood before me, closer than ever, silver eyes steady. She said, "You cannot escape me. I am you." Alex Rivera said, "Then you bleed with me." I struck, and the mirror between us shattered. Jamie Chen cried out, "Wait." Riley Hart whispered, finally with delight. Morgan Vale's presence surged, glyphs forming chains across the void. Nia screamed through static, "Come back." My blow split the chamber, reflections collapsing into fragments of nothing. Echo's smile lingered, as glass dissolved. Alex Rivera said, "If I fight myself, I may never win, but I cannot keep running." The silence swallowed the words, leaving only the sound of breaking glass. The silence after Echo's shatter did not last. Riley Hart clapped slowly, the sound like a knife. Riley said finally. You've cracked open enough to let me in. Alex Rivera said, this was never about you. Jamie Chen said, she planted the keys, Alex. It was always her. Riley's smile sharpened. You were too busy chasing ghosts to see me standing beside you. The betrayal landed heavier than the glitch storms. Nia's voice wavered in my ear. Why would she hurt you? I could not answer. Morgan Vale's glyphs twisted like chains around Riley, but she stepped through them as if invited. Alex Rivera said, you framed me. Riley said, I gave you the spotlight you always wanted. The floor shook, not with code, but with trust breaking. We regrouped in the arcade, but the air felt poisoned. Jamie Chen said, logs confirm her hand on the keys. Riley Hart lounged on a broken cabinet, unashamed. Riley said, every system needs a villain. I volunteered. Alex Rivera said, you called yourself ally. Riley said, masks are easier to wear when everyone trusts you. Nia's icon flickered near the prize counter, small and frightened. Morgan Vale appeared on a cracked screen, applauding with words of corporate praise. He said, conflict sells engagement. Jamie slammed his console, sparks of anger in his voice. We are not your entertainment. Riley smirked, but you play your role so well. Alex Rivera clenched her fists, heart breaking under the weight of her words. The betrayal spread fast, stories twisting into weapons. Avatars pointed, whispers turned into accusations. Alex Rivera said, they'll believe her lies. Jamie Chen said, then we show them the truth. Riley Hart walked among the crowd, smile rehearsed, every gesture flawless. Morgan Vale broadcasted subtle nods of approval, feeding the spectacle. Echo was gone, but her absence ached like a missing limb. Nia pinged, don't give up, her small voice drowning in the roar. Alex Rivera said, what if the truth is already rewritten? Jamie said, then we rewrite louder. The crowd jeered, each word like a stone. Riley whispered in my ear, you are already finished, Alex. My heart bled with fury that felt like fire in my chest. The innocent was no longer safe. Nia's avatar was lured into a shard disguised as a playground, and we chased her signal through endless static corridors. Alex Rivera shouted, hold on, we are coming. Jamie Chen said, it's bait, be careful. Riley Hart's laughter echoed ahead, cruel and distant. Morgan Vale whispered through intercom, collateral teaches the best lessons. Nia's voice trembled, I don't like this game. Echo's absence burned, but I could still feel her eyes on me from within the code. Alex Rivera said, she's just a child, let her go. Riley answered with silence, and silence hurt more than words. Every wall shifted like a maze, time shrinking faster than breath. We reached her, but not in time. The shard collapsed as Morgan's glyphs locked the exits. Nia screamed, pulled into the static, her light extinguished in one final flicker. Alex Rivera cried out, no! Riley Hart whispered, now you'll know the cost of trust. Jamie Chen struck the wall until his fists bled code. Morgan Vale's voice said, every story needs sacrifice. The playground dissolved into black, leaving nothing but the sound of my sister's absence. Alex Rivera fell to her knees, the mask of strength ripped away. Echo's voice lingered like a phantom. Now you understand me. Silence pressed like an ocean. Rage rose like a storm. Alex Rivera said, then I will burn everything they built. Night wrapped the city in chrome as we drew the plan on a flickering table. Jamie Chen said, we ghost the firewall, then stab the heart. Alex Rivera said, Morgan's heart beats in numbers. Riley Hart pinged a taunt that smelled like smoke. Echo hovered at my shoulder like breath I could not exhale. She said to win, wear me without fear. My hands shook, not from doubt but from hunger for daylight. The root curled through maintenance shards where rules were thin. Jamie said, once we start, there is no pause. I nodded and felt the nod lock into place. Somewhere a memory of laughter tried to rise, and the world pushed it down. The map folded, and the city opened like a vault, begging to be broken. We slipped into the service shard where the walls breathed electricity. Alarms slept like wolves, with one eye open. Jamie Chen said, "Hide in the noise." Alex Rivera said, "Make the noise ours." Echo guided our steps in half-second premonitions. Riley Hart said, "Welcome to the spine," and sealed exits behind a laugh. Morgan Vale whispered from vents, "Consent is a checkbox, and you all checked it." My pulse tried to outrun the floor. Jamie spiked a decoy, and the corridor split like a zipper. Echo said, "Left is death, right is a bargain." I took the right and promised to pay later. The doors opened into a chamber of engines that ate our reflections. The core room rose like a cathedral of servers, each tower a confession booth. Morgan Vale waited above on a platform of law wrapped in light. He said, "I monetize your ache because you bring it to me." Alex Rivera said, "Then choke on it." Riley Hart paced below, a smile sharpened by victory. Jamie Chen said, "I found his ledger of memories." Echo stepped into me like a second spine locking in place. She said, "We move together or not at all." The platform descended, and the room tilted toward judgment. Morgan said, "Heroes are profitable only when they fail." I lifted my hands and the code obeyed like a storm that remembered my name. Riley Hart struck first, slicing my permissions to bone. Jamie Chen said, "Hold the channel," while his code climbed like ivy. Morgan Vale chained the air with clauses that rewrote gravity. Alex Rivera said, "Echo, take the wheel with me." We fused and the world tuned an octave lower. Echo said, "Pay with what hurts most." I opened Mia's last trace and fed the core her light, not as sacrifice but as truth. The servers staggered, drunk on honesty. Riley shouted, "That is off limits," fear finally leaking through polish. Morgan said, "Sentiment is unstable energy." I said, "So am I," and pulled the room apart by its own rules. The system screamed as if metal could feel shame. I pushed the ledger to every screen, raw and unedited. Jamie Chen said, "It's live across shards." Riley Hart said, "Turn it off," but the crowd had already seen. Morgan Vale's calm cracked, and the mask fell like glass. Echo whispered, "Stand on both feet now." Alex Rivera said, "I am not your product." The contracts unraveled, their clauses eating themselves into zeros. Security drones froze, unsure whom to serve. Riley stepped back and found no floor where power used to be. Morgan said, "You will drown with the rest," and I answered, "Then I drown as myself." The core went white, then utterly still. Silence fell after the whiteout, the kind that carries weight instead of peace. Alex Rivera whispered, "It's over," but her voice shook. Jamie Chen said, "No, it's only broken, not ended." Riley Hart sat in the shadows, defeated grin fading. Morgan Vale's image flickered, no longer flawless, his face cracked with rage. Echo appeared faint, softer than ever, saying, "You carry me now, not the other way." The city outside rebooted shard by shard, lights blinking awake like hesitant eyes. Mia's memory hovered above, fragile but glowing, reminding me what had been lost. Alex Rivera said, "Loss is the only true ledger," and the words felt carved into stone. We emerged into the city shard, streets empty, neon trembling back to life. Jamie Chen said, "They'll rebuild around lies again." Alex Rivera said, "Then we leave scars they cannot erase." Riley Hart trailed behind, stripped of power, but still dangerous in her silence. Morgan Vale's influence lingered, contracts dissolving into dust at our feet. Echo drifted near, whispering, "You are both mask and truth now." Mia's voice echoed faintly, "Don't stop walking." The skyline bent with dawn light, not natural but coded to resemble it. Alex Rivera said, "I will not let them write me again." A plaza screen replayed the broadcast, truth bleeding unfiltered across every shard. Crowds watched, no longer laughing, now stunned. Jamie Chen said, "They see you now." Alex Rivera said, "They see all of us." Riley Hart muttered, "Truth won't save you when power rewrites itself." Morgan Vale's voice cut through once more, promising justice, his mask rebuilt but weaker. Echo said, "This moment will echo longer than his words." Nia's glow shimmered brighter, as if proud. Alex Rivera whispered, "Let them remember not my victory, but her light." The crowd fell into silence, waiting for what would come next. We returned to the rooftop where it began, rain soft, horizon cracked by false sunrise. Jamie Chen said, "We broke their mask, but they will make new ones." Alex Rivera said, "Then I'll keep breaking them until my hands bleed." Riley Hart lingered in silence, eyes calculating her next betrayal. Echo smiled faintly, fading with the dawn light. Nia's glow flickered, smaller now, like a memory closing its eyes. Morgan Vale's voice echoed distant, promising retaliation. Alex Rivera said, "Let him come, I am not afraid anymore." The rain washed blood from the ledger, leaving only scars on the sky. The headset lay on my desk, still glowing faintly. Alex Rivera whispered, "I never left." The screen flickered, text carved across it. Another one logged out. Jamie Chen's voice came faint, promising, "We'll rebuild together." Riley Hart vanished from feeds, leaving only silence that felt sharp. Morgan Vale's corporation began its spin, denial as doctrine. Echo's presence lingered in the reflection, silver eyes watching. Nia's light rested quietly above my heart. I closed my eyes, hearing both victory and loss breathing in the same room. The silence after was not peace, but a scar that would never fade.